Come on, a Rockefeller, baby, it's me, oh, come on.
My name is Yassine, commonly known as Narcy. I am originally from Iraq. I was born in Dubai, and I was raised in the city of Montreal. When I was like 15, 16, I started writing. There are poets in my family. You know, my grandfather used to always write poetry when I was younger. We would read it and hear about it. I started writing my own stuff when I was like 16, but it wasn't really self-reflective. It was very imitating of, I was basically learning bar structure and like rhyme patterns before I learned how to put myself in it.
Formerly known as Yassine, internationalist. And I'm back in this bitch. You may not enter if you land on my list.
But then when I moved back here in 2000 for university, and I had access to a studio at the university, and my friends were producing beats, is when it became like a practice, and then it was like, oh, I can do this, and it picked up from there, and it became my life, you know.
Bismillah, we're forever holding the peace. Wicked streets, crippled little beats, rippling through the middle.
I was just creating without knowing anything about industry or strategy or branding or artwork. I was just like inundated with CD leaflets and learning credits and seeing how many people it takes to make one song and understanding that mechanic. But I wasn't ready to become an artist until I had something to say. And then when I had something to say, I said it very loud and clear, especially around the Iraq War and being Iraqi in North America and then 9/11 happening and having to like counter a lot of narratives that were coming towards us. When I was studying media and communications at Concordia, I realized, oh, I can use hip-hop music to communicate my own perspective and not rely on public media to share my perspective. And that really became why I started making music, was like, I need this space to challenge the status quo around who I am and to share who I really am. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just started moving through it very naturally.
Trying to speak out for peace, the lead is believed. I get reported somewhere tonight.
You know, in a weird way, I used to get inspired by politics and what was happening in the world and respond to it. And then when that started taking a toll on my soul, or like doing the shows was a lot more like discussing after shows about political happenings in the world, I started furthering myself from reactive music to making proactive narrative music. And I started looking at the minute things that occur between human beings that are universal. So like emotional occurrences in life and how you can translate that into a sonic experience, whether it be love or anger or, you know, having a child. It comes from an intention as opposed to a mission.
Remember when we were 10 and everything was pretend and nothing mattered, we were playing in the schoolyard. Now that we become men, everything is pretend. I'm saying, brother, I don't think I know who you are. I see the games are still the same, we took it too far. Boys with their toys that turn to weapons that go to
the last recording process that I had for this next album that I'm working on, I got the opportunity to go up north and work in a studio that was like remote, an hour outside of Montreal. And it's right by a mountain and like a lake, and there were ducks and deer. I would go for an hour walk up a hill and come back and record. And I was in those studios for 14 hours a day, and it's snowing outside, and record into the night and into the day. That was my favorite musical experience because it was almost like time was there was no limit. You know, I wasn't paying for a daily rate or anything. That was definitely the most experiential, and like it brought out the best results out of me. So I'd love to repeat that from now on.
Hurting, all the struggle, all the feeling. Back when wanted to live forever was so appealing, and my soul was peeling all the layers to our time together. We need some healing.
The way I've worked on all my albums is they are one long album. The outro of my first record ties directly into the intro of my second record. And the same with my, you know what I mean? If they do go back and listen to my discography, you can tell that it's one big thing all together.
Don't chase an illusion, the nation hallucina. Hallelujah, taste of the future, the people, the shower, the pistol, the coward, the trace in the suture.
I'm on my 10th year teaching at Concordia University. I teach in the fine arts department. I inherited a hip hop class from another professor about 10 years ago, and he left. And then I expanded it to 2 separate approaches to hip-hop, one being creative approach about mixing, mastering, writing, graphic design, you know, trying to have students leave with an ability to find their creative force. And then the second class was about social studies, political science, identity studies, and finding themselves, like finding their narrative and their story. When the pandemic happened, it all moved online. And then I decided, for my 10th year, I want to like refresh my own teaching approach. I pitched a class to Concordia about Kanye being like the vessel for all these conversations around media and mental health, like media and narrative building. I'm using this class to challenge both the student, to challenge myself as a professor, but also to challenge the institution as to how you judge a student on their work. I have 200 people in my class, so I'm splitting them up into groups of 20 and the 10 albums that he's put out. And each one of them has to like together write a book about that album. So I want these students to leave with like a collaborative finished manuscript together. I'm the Gotar.
What is a goater?
Gotar, greatest of all time Arab rapper. Mektaba is just an extension of me and my wife Sundus's art practice. It was really her dream to open a bookshop in the city. We didn't want to create a space of commerce. We wanted to create a cultural space. I think the main purpose of Mektaba is that we want people to leave with a book that's going to change their worldview, their spirit, or their cultural approach to things. It's a moment. You remember coming to the shop, getting that t-shirt, getting those 2 books, leaving, and that book affects the next 3 months of your life, and you wear Mektaba on your chest proudly.
What the hell happened? I'm a Chicago, telling them I never forgot B. Who brewing the high tea? You spilling it? Not me, feeling it, Poppy.
A lot of times you'd be like, why isn't this working out for me, But you don't need to do that. Just trust the process. Everything is meant to be the way it's meant to be. Do the work and the rest will follow,